What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Cocktail Cockpits. I'm here with the very famous Tom Walker. We are at a very cool bar. This is the Scapegoat. So Tom, how excited are you about the Scapegoat?
Super excited. I'm actually glad that you opened with that question. First time I was at the Scapegoat was back in 2019. Bar had already been open about a year and a half, and I'd been working at the Blue Bar, with the Phantom Blue. We came here after work, me and one of the managers. I was working with at the time, a guy called Ben, and I was like, man, this is an awesome space. I've always liked small spaces. Yeah. My background in bars, I like Bramble in Edinburgh, where I really kind of started my career. Spending time at Hideaway in New York, which was a massive privilege. A lot of time that I've spent in bars in my career being in small spaces, so it's kind of my bread and butter. So when I came here, I was like, this is super awesome. And COVID happened, went down a different kind of route. And then the opportunity came up about 6-7 months ago to be able to come in as an owner-operator. And so coming back to this space 5 or 6 years after I first came here as a patron and being able to really get into the guts of what I think is one of the most unique and coolest spaces in Miami is a wicked privilege. So yeah, super excited.
We are in the Scapegoat. So
right.
You've been here as a guest, I've been here as a guest. Mm-hmm. We've all seen this neighborhood cocktail bar kind of go through its evolution over the years. Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to actually take that jump and say, hey, I want to be a part of this, and I want to, I'm sure you've had a vision for it as you came over the years and you thought this space could be something, and the opportunity came for you to turn it into something. So what is the Scapegoat now? Because I think the name is amazing, Scapegoat, right? So you can make it what you want it to be.
Right.
So there's so much opportunity here, and I feel like you're the guy to really take it to that place. So for those of us who don't know, what is Scapegoat?
So the Scapegoat is a local neighborhood classic cocktail bar. I think it's had a couple of different ideologies and concepts over the years. And I'm sure the people that have come in here, guests, previous managers, have all had their own ideas about what it could be, what it should be. I think when you have spaces this small and this unique and this intimate, it's kind of like a passport for you to be able to do whatever you want, but within reason. But just because you can do whatever you want doesn't mean that you should do whatever you want. And I think, the way that this space feels kind of is like a throwback to the really, really famous, but more importantly, the important and era-defining cocktail bars that came out of New York in the 2000s and the 2010s, right? Because it's small, a little bit dingy, intimate, candlelit, a lot of booze, a lot of modifiers, heavy on the whiskeys and the gins. And so, yeah, the Scapegoat is a classic cocktail bar that takes a lot of inspiration from the early days of the Milk and Honeys, the Violet Hours, Death and Companies of the world. Our mise en place doesn't really change. It's always kind of the same every day. The team learn about 15 different drinks, and then there is literally about a dozen drinks that come off each of those branches, each of those families.
So we're hearing a strong foundation and understanding of cocktails where you can satisfy multiple palates, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's very much I think it's important for bartenders to be creative, but I also think it's important for bartenders to be able to be creative if they have a strong foundation. And it's do you have the character and depth to be able to reach into the back of the freezer and grab a glass that's colder than the one in the front? Do you have the ability to balance your daiquiris and follow a recipe? Do you have the ability to shake on block ice and make sure that wash line is tight?
Shaking on block ice, yeah.
Shaking on block ice, yeah. Specifically for straight up drinks, but for temperature, for viscosity, texture, dilution.
It's so important. I mean, you have a great ice program here, and I think a lot of that also has to do because you're able to do that because of the size of the place, right? You can really focus and hone in on some of those very important small details.
Yeah, so I'm stoked you said that, because you said, what is the Scapegoat and what do we do here? And going back to, in small spaces, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want because you have the ability to do something really unique in Miami, which is quality control, all right? And I think it's really important to acknowledge that bars and restaurants in Miami have done some really wonderful things for the city in terms of putting it on the world stage and being able to showcase what a wicked city this is to eat and drink at. And the space for everyone to work and be creative and evolve this this awesome profession, but when it comes to places like this, we have the ability to really dial things in. So making our own ice, which is quite labor intensive, bit of a pain in the.
How long does it take you to break down the whole ice? You get big blocks and then you just break that.
Yeah, we do them in house. If we try and knock it out before service, it can take like 15-20 minutes uninterrupted. We have to let it sweat, for a while. And what we do is that we get the clearest possible ice. We put that to one side for everything that we serve stirred and boozy on the rocks. All right, so like old fashions, Negronis, and anything in that family is always going to get a big, massive piece of ice. Any offcuts we'll use for cracking, for stirred drinks like martinis, Manhattans, and then anything left over we'll use for shaken drinks straight up.
Wow, that's amazing.
One of our main focuses here,
Definitely has an impact on the cocktail quality, the way that.
Yeah, I think so. It's, like we kind of take it for granted, right? Because ice does two things at the same time in opposite directions, right? So like when guests or people in our profession talk about ingredients, I would say that the most important ingredient that goes into any drink is ice.
It's the ice, yeah, I agree.
Because it goes in like fresh juice, super important. Consistent, simple syrup, important. Your sweet vermouth, Camparis, your Aperols, your select aperitivos, your modifiers of the world, super important. Base spirits with like 43-46% alcohol, important. Ice goes in everything. It goes in everything all the time. Sometimes you put it in twice, you shake a drink, then you put it on the rocks. So, being able to control the dilution of a drink and being able to control the temperature is super, super difficult. And when we use block ice, big ice for shake and stir and that kind of thing, it allows us to have more control, especially in, more control over the drink in the size of the space that we're in.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you have a more control over the product that you're, more control over the guest experience, more control of everything that's going on around the cocktail.
Right. And maybe it sounds like a control freak or an OCD thing, but being able to control that interaction and that drink and, that kind of conversation from start to finish and being able to put that drink down on a dental napkin with a glass of water, with a cold glass, with a big garnish, being able to greet people as soon as they come in the space, being able to stop what we're doing and say thank you to everyone that leaves the space. Being able to control aspects of that service for us is really important. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we were in a space that's bigger than this. Not to say that spaces in Miami don't do that, but it's, when we only have one member of staff or two members of staff and we have 10, 15 guests, it's almost like we're throwing like a bit of a cocktail party in our own living room.
Who doesn't want to do that, right?
Right,
Who
exactly.
doesn't want to come over to your house for a little cocktail party?
Exactly.
But it sounds like there's a lot of attention to detail, like that you're really mindful of everything that you're doing,
Right.
Like control sometimes can be perceived as something bad,
right.
But in this instance, I think it's the most important thing because in our lives, everyone is always constantly making decisions. Every single day they're making a decision, so they are in control. And if I'm choosing to go out somewhere and receive hospitality, I want to let go of that control.
Sure.
And more often than none, we go to places where we want to relinquish the control and someone is driving the car in the wrong direction for us. And then that's where the bad experience starts to happen where you're like, oh, I don't really enjoy this anymore. So then people have an issue letting control go when they go to an establishment, but when they go somewhere where everything is done intentionally and that sounds like you're doing things intentionally, then you can come in here and get the full experience because then you can relinquish the control, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that we're continuing this conversation of control and being in control because I think the one thing that we sometimes forget, right, and it's not necessarily the case for everyone, but I feel like bars are a bit of a sacred third space for a lot of people, right? So you have your workplace where you spend a lot of time, depending on what it is you do. You have your home life, sometimes male, female, everyone else in between and outside of that. They need a third space to be able to unwind, decompress, let loose, have a good time, like whatever it may be. And especially in Miami, which has such a strong food and beverage scene and like a hedonistic culture, I think it's important that we, as bartenders and people in this profession, have the ability to take control of the situation and make executive decisions for the guests and for people that come in. Not because we're control freaks, but it's like, okay, you know what? This is what you had last time you were here. I remember, let's do it this time. you guys take a seat, kick back, I'll bring over some water, some menus, whatever it may be. It's taking control of the situation.
Yeah, you're directing an experience for
Yeah,
the guests.
very much so. Because it's about them, it's not about us. It's not necessarily about what we do. What we do, we try and do the best that we can, but it's not for us, it's for someone else, right? We live to give.
We live to give. We live to give. I love that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of experience that you need to be able to kind of know how to control the situation. So how long have you been in hospitality?
This is like, when I have to start thinking, it's like too long. I started off when I was 14, so we're talking going on 25 years.
I was gonna say like 10 years ago, look at you.
I know, I'm breathing in and the light's great. And the filming's great as well. 25 years, 17 of those behind the bar. Wow. Yeah, 17 of those behind the bar.
And where'd you start?
So I started bartending in Newcastle. I came out of college, university in the UK, if you're watching this in the UK. Came out of college after studying at the University of Sunderland. I studied journalism. And I came out around the time of the Great Recession. So one of the only sectors where I could get a job straight out of university/college was hospitality. I'd already been working in hospitality in coffee shops and that kind of thing. So I started barbacking at this place called Popolo in Newcastle, and then went on to bartend there within about 3 to 6 months. I spent a little bit of time in Australia, in Brisbane, which actually isn't too dissimilar to Miami. Bit of a beach town, like hot, tropical, humid.
Always wanted to go to Australia.
It's a good time, man. It's a good time. Spent a few months there and then moved back to Newcastle and then went to work at Bramble in Edinburgh, which is kind of where I got my big break and where I started learning the craft and really kind of started like dialing in this profession. I was at Bramble for about 1.5 years. Then I went on to work at the American bar at the Savoy.
That's where most
London,
people know you from,
right? With a white jacket. I once famously, I think Ryan Chediwadano was sat at the bar and I managed to spill a full Ramos all over me, Mr. Lion.
Oh, but it was white, so white on white.
It was fine. Yeah, I just went and changed into another white jacket. I was at the American bar for about 2.5 years, and then had a wicked opportunity to work at Attaboy in New York for a while. I was there moved there in 2014, and then I kind of hopped around the other bars within that family, so like Dutch Kills, Fresh Kills, Middle Branch. And then my wife and I decided to move down to Miami in 2018. New York was not getting any cheaper, and we wanted like a bit of a change of pace.
A little tax break down here too.
A little tax break, yeah, that had an impact on our decision. And so I moved down. End of 2018, worked at the Blue Bar for a small amount of time. And then after COVID, changed direction, and I did one thing that I'd always wanted to do, which was like group bar management, and kind of focus on SOPs and systems and that kind of thing. And I was a director of beverage and operations for Ariette Hospitality for about 1.5 years, 2 years. Helped open the Gibson Room, reopened Chuck's 2.0. And then I was unsure about what I wanted to do long term. And I spent a little bit of time at Jaguar Sun for about 1.5 years.
Love that place.
Love that place. Worked there. The last night of service closed that down. Helped open Sunny's, and then the opportunity of buying into Scapegoat came in October of last year.
And I remember you were telling me you were looking for a space, you wanted to open up a bar, you wanted to take that next step. This is a great opportunity here. I was like, wow, when you told me Scapegoat, I was like, ah.
Yeah, I think, like there's always this, like, do you go into the brand game? Do you go into the distribution game?
Do you go sell real estate?
Do you go to real estate? Do you become a DJ? Do you do both of those things? House parties? I thought that was a good joke. Keep that in, please. And I think I purposely had held back on going into certain managerial positions and ownership because there were some things that I needed to fill out in my resume, like how to communicate with people, how to try and get people to do what you want them to do, how to manage them, finding out ways that like people react to, your style of management, things in that realm, things that I knew that I wasn't great at, but I was like, if I go into a managerial role, if I go into ownership, I don't feel comfortable doing the thing that I need to do because I haven't explored the rights and wrongs of it. And so, I did bits and pieces of that in New York and a little bit in Miami. And yeah, the opportunity came up and I was like, I think Like I've done literally about as much as I can, and I've gone as far as I can. And I was like, I just need to take a step and, you know, figure out the rest as I go. And this is where we are 6-7 months in.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how's it been going? So tell me about the cocktail program here, like the beverage program. What's on the menu here?
This is the first time we've had a menu in a couple of years, like a physical menu to be able to give guests. The majority of the drinks on the menu are someone else's. So like, I think there's one maybe that's mine. But because of the education and places I worked at in New York, I'm pretty lucky to be able to draw upon a pretty deep well of classic and contemporary drinks, right? And so I think the thing for me, and more importantly, the thing for this bar and for the team is for us to be able to get out the right drink to the right guest. I think that's more important than us getting out the drinks that we want to guests, you know? I think people are gonna go out and they're gonna drink whatever's on the menu, for better or for worse. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing that someone's drinking. And I think for us to be able to get a drink out to someone that they're gonna love is really, really important to us. And if that drink isn't ours, if it's someone else's, if it's, you know, like Sam Ross's penicillin, if it's a water lily, if it's Corpse Survivor number 2, it doesn't really matter. Our ability to get out the drink that we think is appropriate for the guest is our main goal. And so our drink is primarily classics, contemporary classics, stuff that things that don't require like a lot of homemade ingredients. Like we use a lot of honey, ginger, homemade grenadine every now and then, orgeat. But those are things that we always have in our arsenal and things that we can use to make other variations and twists and like, you know, things like that. So
you're saying the drinks are for the guests, you know, not for you guys.
No.
Sometimes you go to a bar and the bartender's like, look at all these things that I made. And it's like, who are you making these drinks for? You know, the menu should be for the guests to enjoy, not for you to kind of, you know, showcase your imagination as much, right? You can do that once the guest invites you in to do that.
Sure.
But the guest comes here for their experience, you know?
The one thing that I kind of preach to the team is that there's no such thing as a bad drink, just a bad attitude or a bad bartender, right? So like if someone wants a Long Island iced tea, you got it. Like we have a spec and a recipe for that.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily a drink I would recommend or put out, but we have the ability to make that, right? If someone wants like a dirty vodka martini, yeah, we'll make you the best one that we can. It'll be cold as steel. The ice will be cracked. All of it are delicious. We'll give 2 little shot glasses, one to the pits. And you know, the glassware will come from the freezer. And the thing is that it doesn't matter what it is that we're giving to the guest. Like it does because we care, but it doesn't matter. If someone wants a Cosmo,
you're gonna get the best Cosmo ever.
Yeah, our Cosmos are great. If someone wants like a blue drink, great. Like visually, they're super impressive and incredible. And so the one thing that I say to the guys is that, you know, like as soon as someone comes in, you have an opportunity for them to come back and get another drink. But what you do in the first kind of 30 seconds in terms of greeting them, making them feel welcome, getting them sat down, getting them water, making them feel comfortable is going to define whether they stay for another drink that night or whether they come back in a week and get another drink.
Exactly. Yeah, you have them right now, but that's fine. It's getting them to come back. You know, we're essentially making a connection with our guests, you know, building comfort in the surrounding, directing an experience, and then you're leaving that lasting impression that then they're going to tell 1 or 2 friends, and then, you know, they're going to try to come back next time that they're thinking, oh, where should we go tonight? Or where can we go? And then just like, oh man, I had a great time at Scapegoat. Let's just go back there, you know?
Yeah. People are always going to remember how you make them feel.
Exactly.
That goes to people.
What's in the glass is not important. It's the interaction, you know, the experience.
It's superfluous. Like we care a hell of a lot about the drink that we put out, and I think to say that we don't, or
we should, but
yeah, to say that it's like it's kind of like second. It's like it's joint first, but it'll never ever come before our ability to make someone feel comfortable in the space.
Speaking of drinks, what is your favorite drink?
I'm a big beer drinker. I like wheat beer.
Okay.
And I like Scotch.
A really good German beer the other day. He brought it from like some gas station or something. We were watching UFC at the house, and he just brings a little 6-pack, and I was just like, I'll try it. And it was like the best thing I drank that day.
Pilsner?
Like, oh my
Pilsner?
God,
Wheat
so
beer?
Good. It was like a German beer. I have it. I'm gonna send you a picture.
All right.
Because I still have it in my fridge.
Okay.
Man, it was so yummy.
Yeah. So I like German wheat beer and Scotch. If I'm gonna drink, yeah, it's a good segue. If I'm gonna drink a mixed drink, it's going to be anything with Scotch. I feel like we don't mess around with Scotch enough. I think we need to do a lot more work in this city and like in other cities around the world for Scotch for this reputation of Scotch to dissipate in terms of how it gets put into mixed drinks. We need to challenge that. We need to change.
People always just use it as like the smoky ingredient, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, like 5-7% of the Scotch sold in the world is smoky. The rest of it is not.
It's not,
you know. And I think, you know, going back to the penicillin and drinks of that ilk, penicillin should have paved the way for us to be able to be like, okay, well, you know, this bartender made this awesome drink with Scotch. It's given me the inspiration to do something as well. And I think what we actually end up doing is just doing a bunch of variations on the penicillin, which is actually awesome. But we need other drinks in the world of Scotch.
We should host a Scotch competition here. Invite local bartenders to create the next penicillin.
Oh, we should do like a Scotch workshop.
That too.
Yeah, which we're actually in the process of working out.
Oh, amazing.
I know.
I can't wait to come for that.
Right. It's almost some self-promotion, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, anything mixed with Scotch, usually stirred. I'll take a Rob Roy, or I'll take a John McClane.
Whoa, what's that?
John McClane, you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Y'all.
Live free or die hard.
So John McClane is a Scotch old fashioned that came about in a book called Freudian slip, Stan Jones's bar guide in like the mid-70s. So the John McClane is actually a drink that exists and seemed to exist before Die Hard.
No way.
I'll send you a photo. You send me a photo of that German beer.
Perfect.
And I'll send you a photo of the recipe of the John McClane.
Love that. Now I want to have a John McClane one day.
That can be the next video.
Oh, sweet. Damn, what was my next question? I don't even remember. Oh, I know, I got it. Okay. So, besides being here at Scapegoat, you know, it takes a lot to operate a bar. It's essentially 60% of your life you spend it here.
Sure. Yeah.
He's like 80.
Yeah.
What do you like to do outside of work when you're not here?
Try to spend time at home. I have 2 little cute nightmare dogs that are a big part of my life, as is my wife, Ellie, who hopefully is watching this. Hi. You know, I think spending a lot of time working at night, spending a lot of time working weekends is something that you can't do forever. And I sound like I'm retiring. It's been a massive privilege. It's been a great part of my life. No, like I'll still do it for a while, and we'll continue to do it for a while, obviously. But trying to find that work-life balance, which is difficult in this profession. I'm a big soccer fan. Don't correct me and say you mean football.
You mean football?
I mean football.
You mean football?
Yeah. But you know, we live in the US. I'm a big soccer fan. I probably spend a lot of time like reading soccer reports, matches, listen to podcasts. And
where do you watch it when you're not at home? Do you always watch it at home, or do you have a place?
No, I'll usually go somewhere in Coconut Grove.
Oh yeah.
I'll usually grab a pint. Well, I mean, the great thing about watching soccer during the day is day drinking, which isn't the most responsible thing to say. No, I'll grab a pint, a couple of pints, and because of the time difference.
The time difference, so it's a daytime activity.
Yeah. Although like some matches on a weekend, especially the Premier League, they're on TV at like 7 in the morning. So I'm not.
So the good thing about that is that if you're a sports fan in the United States and you work behind the bar, you can't always watch it unless you work at a sports bar. Like, but when I was still bartending, I loved UFC. It's like Saturday night, I'm gonna miss the fight because I'm bartending, you know?
No, it's one of my biggest career mistakes, not working in a sports bar for the rest of my life. So you could just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah, no one would ever get served there.
No one would ever get served. You'd be like, oh man,
it's like, yeah.
Pipe down.
You want a pint? Yeah.
Scores. But at least that you get to enjoy both, because you can still work at night and then you can still watch the games.
Sure. Yeah.
Why don't you give us a tour of this Cocktail Cockpit? Show us your bar.
Okay, sure thing.
All right, we are behind the Cocktail Cockpit of Scapegoat. Now this is a very cool station. I like how tight it is. So why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, okay, so we'll start from the top. So we have, we call these
Pac-Man?
Pac-Man, yeah, I think they're like sugar caddies officially.
Okay.
But what we do is that we keep some of our garnishes and some materials here. So we have ginger on both sides because we go through a fair amount of ginger. Candied ginger, we skewer them like so. Toothpicks are always going to be like pretty much kissing, so it's easier for us to put on top and for the garnish to stay in place. This is on both sides. In the middle, we have brown and white sugar cubes. Every single old fashioned that we make, classic old fashioned that is going to get a white. My first time behind a bar, clearly. It's going to get a white sugar cube, bitters, and a little bit of soda.
Real old fashioned. Yeah.
Real old fashioned, bit of a muddler. We have a couple of maple syrup dispensers here. We have a mixture of actual maple syrup that we use more during fall, winter time. Passion fruit, sweet vermouth. Sweet vermouth we have in a drink on our menu called the LS Sour, which is a New York.
Sweet vermouth in a syrup container.
Only for that drink.
That's cool.
Only for that drink. I have sweet vermouth somewhere else,
Okay.
but I'll go into that.
So what's the difference between this sweet vermouth and the other one?
Well, we have sweet vermouth in the low boy, but we also but we also have like a Negroni batch. So Campari and sweet vermouth together,
Cool.
just for us to buy a bit more time to get that drink out quicker.
Of course, less steps. I like that.
Jigger's always on the left. Most of the bartenders that work here are always left-handed. And then over on the right-hand side, we'll circle around. We have, in this order, we have lime, simple, lemon, honey, ginger. And the way that we do this is so we can do things like daiquiris and gimlet builds, east sides, that kind of thing. We switch over to lemon, simple, for things like Fitzgerald's, Tom Collins's, that kind of thing. We move on to honey, so just think like a bee's knees build, and then if you think of right, exactly, all three of them together, you've essentially got a penicillin build, which is something that we make a lot of. Going around this way, we have Islay Scotch next to the ginger for obvious reasons, straws, and then we have garnishes. We always have, it's basically like green on the left and then mist on the right. So green is always going to be mint sprigs and mint next to each other, loose mint and cucumbers next to each other, and then limes at the bottom next to the cherries. Oranges above, this is going to be Tom Collins. Olives, and then usually on weekends we put lemon wedges in there.
Okay.
We don't really go through lemon that much.
Not as common as the one.
Usually we do it to water. If not on the weekend, we'll do a lemon. And then when we come around this way, we have a drip mat with shakers. So we essentially just tins up. All right. We always build in a small tin, and then we have a big tin right there for when we put in block ice or ice cubes. And then this is also where we drain. We have the sink right underneath, so once we're finished with the drink, we just rinse, ready to go. And then we have a trash can down here. We always throw away stuff in the shaker when it has debris, all right? So like strawberries, cucumber, mint, everything goes right in, and then it's easier for us to rinse the tin. And then with the well itself, the well is super tight. We keep the strainers, which have a couple of springs.
These are double pronged, right? You do that on purpose?
Yeah, these are 2 or 3 hours, forget. But basically, it means that we don't have to double strain, and we still get to keep a lot of the texture in the drink intact. These go in the middle of the well divider, crushed ice on the left, cubed on the right. We keep some of our bar tools in crushed ice with the container on crushed ice, right? So it's a way that we clean it. And then basically the way that we have the well is that we have, in this order, we have vodka, gin, white rum, tequila, mezcal, rye, bourbon. So really you can kind of jigger all your cocktails in that order. If you get to mezcal, we kind of hit a wall, so we have to get a new jigger, but you can go in that order without having to rinse out your jigger.
Exactly. So when you round build, you go from clear all the way up to
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then above that we have batches that correspond to obviously the drinks on the menu, but also the spirit in front of them. So the Benny's Daiquiri is always going to be in front of the rum. The Sunday Service, which is a tequila Aperol drink that we have on the menu, is going to be in front of the tequila. The Oaxaca Freezer, which has a tiny bit of creme de menthe, is in front of your mezcal. The Sunflower is the odd one out, it's in front of your rye. But the Espresso Martini batch, which is a combination of Mr. Black and coffee, is going to be next to the vodka and diagonal to the Grey Goose, which is in the grill. Amazing. And I guess I should also mention the sweet vermouth and Campari, and then blonde vermouth and gentian. And then the idea is that if someone wants a Negroni, we already have it batched, good to go. Also goes for like Boulevardiers, left hand.
Everything in the Negroni family, yeah.
Yeah, and then we can just put it in the spirit.
Pick the spirit back here.
Yeah, and then it buys us an extra couple of seconds
at a time. And then you also have reach and fridge right here. So
yeah, so
right next door.
I'm a big fan of like reach in freezers, like top down, but it means that we lose a lot of real estate. So generally, when I look at bar designs, bar building equipment, I look at front loading. So what we have here, which is where we have pens, printer, me's for like checks, fruit for peeling, bitters. We usually take the caps off for service, chopping board and salt. What we have here is a low volume, so sweeper move, driver move. We have beer, not the drinking beer, although it technically is drinking beer. It's the French red Kina. We also have coffee rosa, prosecco, sparkling wine, and then a bunch of soda, specifically LaCroix at the bottom. Moving over to the next side, which is where we have a partial amount of me's for the point station. We have POS, some extra fruit that we swap out when we peel all of these guys, and then we can also juice on the fly if we need to. Checks, and then here's our freezer. And this is like this freezer.
This one's a fridge and this is a freezer.
Yeah. This is the workhorse of the bar. This is the one thing that we touch probably more than anything else, because we always go in there to pull out coupes. For straight up drinks, we'll go in there. Look at all the rocks.
Look at these rocks.
Pre-manicured. We'll also reach in for shaking ice as well. Put that over there.
Shaking ice over here.
Anything aromatic, so like a Negroni, that kind of thing. We'll get a big rock. This will come out the freezer. Yeah. And for shaking drinks down as well.
That's luxurious. My God. Coming in from a hot summer day, getting a drink in here.
And I guess for this guy as well. And this is what we use for martinis.
Oh yeah, I had noticed there was no mixing glasses here, so you're using this to stir your cocktails.
Yeah.
Wow, and it's already frozen.
Yeah.
Incredible. Look at that.
Yeah. So yeah, they're not cheap, but you'll never buy another mixing vessel again.
I agree. These are well worth the money.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this guy generally sees a lot more action than anything else. But you know, even if we need to go over this way, nothing is more than a step away. You know, so if we want to like use something from the back, something from like the back bar, like an Amaro, we want to make like a bartender's choice, that kind of thing. We only have to step once in any direction for anything we need. Yeah. We also have, I guess we didn't talk about this guy.
This freezer here, yeah. I got
What's inside the freezer? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
So these guys we use for sours, egg white sours specifically.
Orange sours.
Beer glasses, Collins, and then we use these for business.
Wow.
We don't make many of them.
Yeah, you got a lot of chilled glasses. Very important.
Yeah. I guess the last thing is water glasses over there, and then water glasses under here as well, right next to the glass sheet.
Amazing.
Yeah, super tight.
It's like you've made use of this space very well. You know? Everything has a reason for it, being where it is. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, absolutely. I want to see how this baby operates. I'm have some drinks over here.
You want me to make you something?
Yeah, let's get a drink going.
All right, okay.